working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Roy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for you is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for you.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Working for You, the weekly radio program where the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and the entire world can be informed about what their government is doing for them. I am your host, Roy Williams. Today I am very honored to have with me the Honorable Sean Richards, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Education, Youth, Sports and Culture. Good afternoon, Honorable Minister.
Good afternoon, Mr. Williams, and it is a pleasure for me to be here also with you this afternoon. Good afternoon also to all persons listening to this radio program, Working for You.
Minister, I am sure that today you have something to share with your audience on every one of your ministries. You know, you have a lot of ministries, your education, youth, sports, and culture. That's quite a package, if you want to call it that. Now, we have just concluded the semis and finals of the Caribbean Premier League, what is known as the CPL T20 at Warner Park. Now, some people say that the semis were not well attended. We had some inclement weather and so on, but for the finals, of course, the Warner Park was ram-packed. You couldn't find parking space. I mean, it was so obvious that the park was bursting with people. Now, what is your feedback on the games, and how do you see the games or hosting of the games impacting positively on St. Kitts and Nevis?
Thank you, Roy. There are several different ways in which one can view success. Several different factors can be looked at to make a determination as to whether or not the CPL games were successful. However, before I examine those particular factors, let me first of all say thanks to all of the persons who have been involved in making CPL 2016 a success here in St. Kitts and Nevis. In particular, I would like to thank the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for making a decision to host the CPL games here. I also extend gratitude to the local organizing committee, to the staff of the sports department, in particular the groundsmen, who did a fantastic job in ensuring that the grounds were ready for the hosting of the CPL games here. Indeed, I must also say thanks to the patrons who turned out and supported all of the games which were held here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So again, to all of the different stakeholders who came together to make CPL a success, I say thanks. When the government took a decision to host the semis and the finals for CPL here, there are several different factors that we would have looked at. We looked at one, the advertising of St. Kitts and Nevis as a tourist destination, in particular for sports tourism. Certainly, one cannot just look at the number of persons who would have been present at the venue here in St. Kitts and Nevis viewing the games. One must also take into consideration that the games were streamed across the world and you had millions of persons viewing the games. That, in my view, has been a success. Part of the hosting of CPL here also is to get more of our own people involved in cricket. Not just the playing of cricket, but also in the administration of cricket. And that, in my view, took place during the hosting of the CPL games here in St. Kitts and Nevis. You had several local persons who would have also benefited, be it the persons who were vendors, be it the local staff which had been employed by CPL, be it the groundsmen who were able to work overtime and in turn get a stipend from CPL for working with them, the local security services, and a large number of other persons would have benefited from such. Additionally, when we negotiated with CPL, we also indicated to CPL that the government is interested in receiving a donation of $25,000 towards the St. Kitts Nevis National Education Foundation. Last year, there was a charity game held during the CPL games, and coming out of that charity game, $10,000 had been donated to the St. Kitts Nevis National Education Foundation. Earlier this year, we were able to distribute some 40-something scholarships to students in primary, high, and CFBC here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and also the Nevis Sixth Form College. This year, as I said, we negotiated for $25,000. There was a symbolic handing over ceremony held at Sunday's game. And so we are expecting this year to be able to reach more students in terms of those scholarships. A scholarship, an educational scholarship, is such that you can't exactly determine the benefit of such immediately, because you're educating persons for a lifetime, and the benefit of that cannot be quantified per se. Those persons will be able to positively give back to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis in future years. And so that for me has been a success coming out of CPL. We also negotiated with CPL to receive 25% of the gate receipts. At this point in time, I can't say how much that will amount to, but at least I do know that the government will get something coming out of that. We charged CPL some $80,000 just for the semi-finals and the finals. Prior to that, for the earlier games, CPL had paid $60,000 to use the facilities at the Warner Park Cricket Stadium. So that is also revenue coming back into government. Unfortunately for us, the St. Kitts Nevis Patriots didn't do as well as one would have liked. But I have said quite publicly before that the government has entered into an agreement with the St. Kitts Nevis Patriots, whereby we expect to see quite a bit of work being done at the Warner Park Cricket Facility. That again is a positive development, and that is a success coming out of CPL. The Patriots continue to support a number of organizations right here in St. Kitts and Nevis, be it Carnival, be it the children in our school, because they have been given quite a number of sporting items, and they have supported different community festivals, etc. And they have given support to the security forces and a number of other government organizations. So in my view, the games were successful. Indeed, we had a rain the Thursday and the Friday, and that of course would have deterred a number of persons from coming out to support the games.
I think one of the games finished around 3 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. Well, which
Saturday morning.
Historic. But on Sunday in particular, persons came out in full force, to the extent that the stands were sold out, the mound was sold out, and persons were only able to get tickets in the party stand. So when one take into consideration the fact that you had rain the Thursday and the Friday, that in some part would account for the number of persons who would have showed up to those two particular games. But at the end of it, we were able to sell out the entire venue on the last day.
Now, I know that there will be at some point an economic impact assessment that I think will be done on the 2016 CPL games, the semis, the finals, and the regular games that we had before in St. Kitts. I know that there was an economic impact assessment done for the 2015 CPL games, and in that, I think I saw that $20 million was in that vicinity in terms of the country benefiting. That was in 2015. But the very fact that we had the semis and we had the finals this year, the second time around, I mean, we're having the semis and the finals, I guess that you expect it to be more than the 20 million US dollars for 2015.
Yes, it is only logical that one would expect to see a greater impact on the economy coming out of these last set of games, and that report hopefully would be received at some point in time from the authorities for CPL. It goes back though to the point that I made earlier, that the government would have looked at several different factors in making a determination as to whether
For sure, the media value would have gone up.
the CPL games being hosted here. The media value, as I said, that would have gone up. As a matter of fact, the CPL had indicated that they had more media partners coming on board, so that they expected more persons to be viewing the games this time around. I had the fortunate pleasure of meeting some friends from Trinidad who came in for the semi-finals and finals, a couple, husband and wife, and they indicated to me that they were barely able to make it into St. Kitts. They took a flight from Trinidad, I think, into Antigua, and then from Antigua they had to take a flight into Nevis, and then from Nevis take a ferry to St. Kitts just to be here for those games. And I am sure that that is the experience that other persons would have had. Some persons, there are other persons who I know wanted to come, but they just were not able to get any booking to accommodate their arrival into St. Kitts and Nevis.
Right. Now, continuing in the Ministry of Sports, we know that the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic team and the officials are in Rio de Janeiro to participate in the 2016 games there. We have on that team Kim Collins and Tamika Williams, who have been reunited with the team after a disappointing 2012 London Olympics. How do you feel about this? And what has been the government's support or contribution to the athletes?
Well, I think it's not just how I feel, but how the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis feels to be able to have their top athletes participating in the 2016 Rio Games. I've said to other media organizations that the experience that our athletes will receive is not just about being able to compete, not just about showcasing their athletic skills, but being able to compete amongst the very best in the world. This competition, I think, will only bring out their best. Additionally, it gives them the opportunity to meet coaches who they may be able to develop relationships with. It gives them the opportunity to network with fellow athletes. It gives them the opportunity to look at the different styles, the different techniques used by other athletes, and to make a determination as to how they themselves can perhaps adopt some of those styles, some of those techniques to better develop themselves, to improve their own athletic skills. For St. Kitts and Nevis, of course, there is one publication which dubbed the uniform being worn by the St. Kitts and Nevis team as being one of the best. That, of course, is advertisement publicity that I don't know if we could ever pay for. And so these are some of the benefits coming out of our athletes being able to participate in the Rio 2016 Games. Yes, the government has been providing support since late last year. We began supporting the athletes in their various training programs. Each athlete would have applied for assistance, and you had several athletes, not just those who are competing in Rio, but there are several others who had been participating in different developmental sessions to try and make it through Rio. Unfortunately, they were not able to do so, but this was done through support by the government to the tune of about $500,000.
Now, Kim Collins also appeared on CNN. He had an interview on CNN in which he spoke about, his career and all that sort of a thing. I think that gave some publicity, also good publicity. What is it that you think in terms of sports and development? How do you see sports impacting the development of St. Kitts and Nevis?
I think sports has a critical role to play in the development of St. Kitts and Nevis. We in St. Kitts and Nevis must recognize that our own real resource that we have here is our human capital. And we have to make the necessary investments in our people so that they can develop themselves. And if they're able to develop themselves, then the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis will develop as such. We have proven through Kim Collins and through other athletes that the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is very small, that indeed the talent, the sporting talent that we have here can be the best in the world. Kim has placed St. Kitts and Nevis on the world map, and if we continue to harness these skills within other athletes, I am certain that just as Kim would have emerged, there are other athletes who would also emerge. And those athletes, apart from developing themselves, will also bring positive fame and publicity to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have invested in quite a number of other things, be it the tourism industry, etc. But when you look at the fragility of those industries, and yes, as humans, we only have a time here on earth. But indeed, we have to continue to make the investment in our people, who in turn will help to develop St. Kitts and Nevis, and sports tourism, in my view, is absolutely no different.
But even in terms of sports, simply for fitness and health.
Exactly, and you are making a very important point, because if we get more of our persons involved in sporting activities, they become healthier persons. One of the statistics that we have to grapple here within St. Kitts and Nevis is the fact that a large percentage of our population has been deemed to be obese. If we have obesity here, there are other chronic health problems that we will be facing, and those health problems, they come at a cost, a high cost to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So that if we're able to reduce that cost, we not only have a healthier population, but we have monies that we can invest in other areas of our own development.
Now, you are the Minister of Education, and the education of our young people and education on a whole is very important, just like sports, to the development of any country. Now, one of the greatest challenges that you have faced since being Minister of Education is the Bastia High School saga. I call it a saga because it has been ongoing, and it has been in the news for a very, very long time. And it has been, to some extent, a controversial issue, an ethical issue.
I think during the town hall meeting, which was held in Pons Pasture, the Newtown area, prior to last week Thursday, I would have given quite a comprehensive update as to where we are with the Bastia High School matter. As I said then, there were 5 different sites which were noted as options. A committee had been put together to determine the suitability of those 5 sites. They ranked all of the sites. Coming out of that, we put a next committee together because 2 of the sites would have certain impact on the environment, especially if we're looking at our water resource in particular. And so, in trying to be very careful and in trying to ensure that the government consult all of the different stakeholders and get the best of advice, we put a committee of water experts together. That committee has since given its report, and that committee also ranked the sites in order of preference for a school, taking into consideration a number of different factors. Since then, I have provided the Permanent Secretary in Sustainable Development with a copy of the report to get some further feedback from Sustainable. Just yesterday afternoon, the PS and I would have had some further conversation, and there's a report which she told me I can expect to receive tomorrow. Upon receipt of that report, Cabinet will then be in a position to have some further deliberations and make a final recommendation as to the site for Bastia High School. We have given a commitment that we expect construction to begin during the start of this fiscal year, We are still committed to that, and I said to the persons here in St. Kitts and Nevis that yes, the process may appear to be lengthy, but at the end of the day, we are ensuring that when we do build a school, we give not just the students the best high school, but in terms of the general population of St. Kitts and Nevis, we give to them a school which is located in what is determined to be the best area, taking all of the different factors into consideration. One can make a determination to go out there and build a school anyway, but then there are other impacts that that school would have, be it on traffic, be it on residential communities, be it on the environment, and so all of those must be weighed and taken into consideration before any such action is taken.
Okay. Now, continuing in the line of school. School is soon to be reopened from the long holiday break. Will there be any new changes for the new school term? And what did your ministry do for the ongoing formation of our school children during the break?
Yes, there will be some changes for the opening of the school year. I think at the opening of any new school year, you see quite a number of changes taking place. For example, you would have had some principals who would have retired. I can say for a fact that the principal for Kayan Primary School has retired, and so one will see a new principal over at the Kayan Primary School. And there are some other changes which will take place. You have some teachers who have decided to go off to pursue additional studies, be it locally or regionally, internationally. You have some who have opted to retire, some who will be moving into different jobs, and then as the ministry itself looks at the needs of the different schools, we would have to make a determination as to the placement of persons coming into the system, be it those graduating from universities, those graduating from the teachers training program at CFBC, or current teachers who may have to reassign depending on the different subject areas that may be left with a void at a particular institution. So yes, there definitely will be changes taking place within the schools. During the summer term, while teachers have been out getting a little break and getting themselves rejuvenated for the new school year, the ministry has been hard at work with a number of other different initiatives to assist the teachers as they return to the classrooms and also our students. However, it is not that we have left the students without anything to do during the summer vacation. The youth department, for example, would have held a summer camp, and the other different organizations and government departments which would have held camps. I know, for example, that a few weeks ago it would have been at the fire department where they held a summer safety camp for students, and that camp was not just in Barstey but Tabernacle and Sandy Point also. Yesterday morning I went by the community center in Sandy Point. There's a camp being held there for students, and even many of the churches would have held different camps to impact or engage the students on a more religious manner. So several different things have been done to ensure that our students have been engaged throughout the summer.
Will we have a new president of CFBC for the opening year?
Yes, there will be a new president for CFBC, but I don't suppose that person will be there at the start of the new school year. But hopefully as the school year progresses, that person will emerge and will be installed as the president of CFBC. I know that the board has put in place a plan of action to recruit a new president.
Okay, good.